2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
Why is couples therapy not working?
Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
Brannon, what's going on, man?
Not much. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
I was standing on a skid steer for like 12 hours yesterday. Do you know what a skid steer is?
Yeah. It's like one of those like little, basically like a little tractor that allows you to move dirt around and stuff.
Yeah. It's like, I was, after doing it and moving all this dirt around my yard and stuff, I was looking at my yard and I was like, why the fetch do I think I got to like manage a park for my kids? My kids that like, all they want to do is play the Switch. I just want to get them out there, throw a Frisbee. It's like, why am I managing a park for them? Anyways. Yeah. So it was fun though. I like getting out and working.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is the reason why is because you like being able to have to rent a skid steer so you can go out and like mess around with it.
It was kind of fun. Yeah. I gotta admit.
That's what you were doing.
Yeah. So you feel kind of like powerful, like, and I know I overworked that thing, whereas like I was doing things with it that like it's not made to do.
Those things are pretty tough though.
Digging out stumps and like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, it was fun. So
yeah, good for you, man.
If you ever need help with a skid steer, I'm pretty good with one now. So.
It takes a while to get used to it, but yeah, those things are fun.
Yeah. So anyways, Tyler, this is kind of I think a pretty important topic that we have today.
Yeah.
More than just our title says, I think this really gets into some really important things and into a lot of the things that we do over in the healing journey on Reclaim Your Heart. The question is why is couples therapy not working? Should we just start there?
Yeah, let's just we get this question quite a bit actually, Brannon, is why do we seem to be hitting a wall in our couples therapy, or it's not working, or it's actually getting worse? And I think today what we'll do is just kind of go through a few reasons as to why you might be hitting the wall or why it might be getting worse. And then we'll also talk a little bit about the beautiful thing about this is that you still have power to change it and how to make it effective if you're going to be doing your couples therapy.
Absolutely. There is a way for things to improve and get better, and it's within your hands. And so we'll get into that. But couples therapy, Tyler, at times can just feel like you're beating your head against a wall.
Yeah, there's a few things that that we just want to talk about that might be contributing to not having good couples therapy. And some people are going to be like hearing these things going like, oh yeah, that's been exactly my experience.
Right.
So
it's kind of hard, Tyler, because sometimes with therapy, it does feel like things get worse before they get better.
And sometimes it needs to.
It needs to, right?
Yeah, right.
So we're not talking about that. Like sometimes it gets hard, change is difficult, change is painful. And at times you can look at that and say things are getting worse when in fact they're starting to improve. What we're talking about is when things truly aren't getting better, where you're beating your head against a wall, you're trying, you're getting these skills or these tools or whatever from this therapist, and it's just not changing. You're not getting different outcomes. Maybe you're getting worse outcomes over time, and it's just not changing.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the first things, we'll just hit like 2 or 3 of these things today. One of the first things that makes couple therapies not work is that most people go to couples therapy hoping that the therapist will fix their partner. So the focus is on the partner doing the changing, and then it doesn't seem to work very well.
Tyler, I would say even the people that are aware that that doesn't work have a tendency to fall into that trap. I think
yeah.
we all do.
It's human. It's human. When we experience pain and we see someone in front of us that seems to be causing the pain, they are the object of our pain, then naturally
they're the problem.
That's the place where it probably needs to change, right?
Or that's what we think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but then what happens is you get a couple into your office and now both of them are pointing the finger at each other, hoping that you'll point the finger at them, and then they walk out and it becomes a contest as to who got treated more unfairly or fairly by the therapist rather than what are the issues we're actually really trying to overcome here.
Right.
Yeah.
The focus is on the other person and or a lot of the times the focus is on the relationship itself, of like how it's working and what happens in the relationship. And I know, like, as I'm hearing myself talk, I know we're talking about couples therapy. We're talking about relationship work. And so it's a problem that the focus is so much on the relationship. That's a lot of times where people get stuck, and it feels backwards because you're there to do relationship work. You're supposed to dive into that. But if you focus too much on the relationship, what happens, Tyler?
Yeah, what it does is it kind of sometimes puts the cart before the horse, right? So a lot of times the reason you end up going to some kind of couples treatment is because there's something tumultuous that has gone on in the relationship. Oftentimes there's a breach of trust, or there's a lack of safety, or there's a lack of like intimacy and knowing each other. Either way, that at the foundation, the relationship is already on shaky ground. And so then going to look at the relationship itself, like people come into our office all the time, Brannon, like let's say there's been a big betrayal. Somebody's gone out and spent a ton of money, didn't tell their partner, it kind of comes to fruition. And then they come into the office and they're like, we just need to work on our relationship and get some communication skills, and then we'll be all better. And it's like, well, the communication skills might be valuable, but there's no way those communication skills are going to be the thing that fixes this until you guys actually get to the root of the problem.
Right.
Which is that there was some reason why there was a dishonesty inside the relationship in the first place, probably maybe on both sides even, where there's deeper root issues in the way that you guys have been interacting already that still need some attention.
Right. It's like, a client who has massive amounts of childhood trauma, tons of attachment wounds, has no idea what secure attachment even is, is acting in drama and acting out in addiction and all this stuff. And they come into a couples session and they're like, well, let's work on your intimacy. Well, that's great. Like we want to work on your intimacy. But if we take the coupleship or the relationship and we try to fix that intimacy problem without addressing the trauma, then we're beating our head against a wall. And it's going to trigger all of that stuff that's already there as you're trying to address the intimacy issues. If you don't actually stop and take a look at the root cause.
In essence, it's about bringing the elephant into the room on both sides for most partners is the hardest thing to do, but it's one of the most valuable things to do if you're looking at trying to make progress and moving forward in your relationship.
Yes.
One of the other places, and then we can move on to some of the solutions, but the places where it often breaks down, similar to what you're saying right now, Brannon, is that I got news for you. The thing you're fighting about probably isn't actually the issue.
Yeah.
So, we're fighting about how much sex we have in our relationship, or we're fighting about how often we should go see the in-laws, or we're fighting about like where we should spend certain kinds of money or like whatever else. And people get wrapped up so much in the content, in the storyline of the problem, that they don't actually really ever get a chance to look at the dance that's going on underneath between the two of them emotionally. And you could almost swap out the topic and you're still going to have the same dance underneath the surface a lot of the time.
Right. And so they're focused on this thing, trying to fix this thing they're shooting at the wrong target. It's like, Tyler, it's like we focus on the thing right in front of us, right? And when we focus on the thing right in front of us, it's kind of like this. Like right now, my son has hand, foot, and mouth disease, right?
Gotta love that.
Oh, God. Jeez. So he's got all these cankers all over his tongue. And it's like, if we just looked at that as a canker and we're like putting some baking soda on it, I don't know how you treat a canker, right? But it's like, that's okay. We're worrying about this one, these cankers on his tongue. We miss the point that he has a disease.
Right.
Right. And if we don't address the actual disease, these symptoms, we can try to soothe them or take care of them, but nothing's getting better. Right.
Right. It's almost, in some ways, I think sometimes couples want to stay there because for two reasons. One, they think that if they solve that one thing, if they figure out how many times a week we're going to have sex or how we're going to spend this money, then we won't have the conflict, and then we'll be all better. So they think they got this promise that it will actually solve the problem. But the other reason why couples stay there is that it's less vulnerable to stay there than it is to go a little bit deeper into the places of saying, like, actually, man, there's a part of me that really feels pretty inadequate about being able to budget. And I'm afraid that if you see that, then you're going to judge me or disrespect me or want to reject me. And so I'd rather
that really terrifies me.
Yeah. And that deeper fear of disconnection is going to be there, whether it's about the budget or about whatever else the topic is. And if that doesn't get addressed, then you'll just kind of turn into swapping topics and continuing the same fight.
Right. Right. Me and my wife went through this phase, and I don't know how healthy it was, but we'd get in a discussion, and if it got kind of heated or whatever, one or the other of us would say, and this is such like me being a therapist, but it's like, am I talking to you or am I talking to your inner child?
Yeah.
Like I want to know you, but I hear your child's pain. Like I see it. If we need to talk about that, we can. Right.
Yeah.
But you got to be very careful about the way you go about that.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes it vulnerable. And especially if you use it as a weapon, then you're making it worse. But
yeah, it never helps.
Yeah.
All right, Tyler. So I want to ask you, can your relationship change even if your partner does not change?
Can you invite things into your life inside the relationship even if your partner doesn't change?
Yeah. Because if I'm a person that's sitting back and I've been in a marriage for 20, 30 years, and I'm just like, I know them. I know what I'm going to get from them. I know what my marriage is. It is what it is. I'm semi-miserable / miserable, but I don't have much hope that I'm going to get anything else than what I'm getting out of my relationship. Can things actually get better? Because that sounds and feels pretty hopeless.
Right. Well, and even just what you just said there, though, is I know my partner and how they're going to respond if I do X, Y, or Z, and it's just not going to change. Right.
Right.
Already that statement is maybe it's already giving away the power that lies within you to actually consider some other questions. And those are the questions we want to go through with you today and have you think about this in the context of your own relationships. Every one of us has probably a relationship right now that we wish was a little bit different. If you're listening to this specific podcast, there's probably a reason you tuned into it. And so we wanted to just pose a couple of questions that you could ask yourself instead, and then maybe provide a couple of thoughts or principles that might help towards the answers of those questions.
Tyler, before you ask one, I just want to say, this is a lot of times not like what we want to hear, because we want to stay in a place of not looking within, of not taking accountability, of not doing the hard work. And we feel like it's easier if we focus on circumstance, if we focus on the other person, if we focus on the relationship. And so these questions, as much as they bring a ton of hope within them, they also carry with them accountability to do your work.
Regardless of what your partner does.
Regardless of what your partner does. So just a fair warning, these questions are amazing. But just a fair warning for you, this might trigger two things. Oh, yeah, I can have what I want. Yay, hope. And I'm accountable here for what I create in my life. Right, Tyler?
That's right. That's right. So let's get into these. What if, and I encourage you, if you're listening, to just kind of sit with this in the context of whatever relationship you choose to think about here. And I'd encourage you to receive these questions from as mindful of a place as possible. So instead of like already getting queued up, actually ask the question, let it sit with you for a second and just see what starts to rise inside of you. All right. What if you could feel total unconditional positive regard for your partner, regardless of what they do?
I've gotten in trouble for asking this question in the past. When you got a partner who's abusive and nasty and done horrible things and all of that, that's not a fun question, what you just asked. But Tyler, if I'm full of resentment and I'm full of judgment and I'm full of anger toward my partner, is that like, how does that affect me?
Yeah, I think that's at the crux of this. It's this: if my partner does wrong things and hurts me, that hurts.
It still does. It doesn't make it right.
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 But it's on me to process that hurt in such a way that I don't add suffering on top of the hurt. And
right.
the way that I add suffering is by getting into this place of disgust, criticism, judgment, resentment, and so it's also then on me to reduce my suffering, to figure out what would it take for me to actually see this person as with complete positive regard.
Resentment is just a consequence of a lack of healthy boundaries. A lack of healthy boundaries is a consequence of not trusting yourself and following through with your truth and your intuition and protecting your values. Not following through with all of those things is usually a result of some fracture or some wound, some trauma that tells you that you're not enough, you're not okay, you're not lovable, which then makes you sacrifice your boundaries, which then makes you resent people in your relationship. So if I'm in a relationship where the other person is doing things that aren't awesome, I'm going to naturally go toward resentment if I lack healthy boundaries. If I have those healthy boundaries and I've done that underneath work and dealt with my wounds, I can see their pain. I can believe they're doing the best that they can, and I can still protect myself and be boundaried within myself. That's within me regardless of them. But that takes work for me to be that strong to be able to protect those values that I have.
Beautiful. And that's where that boundaries actually allow me to keep people in the spaces where they need to be, where I can see them as people still rather than as the object of my pain.
Right.
And so if I'm willing to do the work of finding and establishing healthy boundaries in my relationship, I instantly can then feel positive regard for the person because they're operating at a place where it's the right space given our values together.
And you know what, Tyler? It's what is in our control too. It's like if my partner keeps doing this thing, they can keep doing that thing. Like I can't really stop them. But what I can do is make sure that I'm responding in my integrity for myself. And if I do that, they might stop doing that thing as a result because they realize like, oh, I can't just take advantage of them and they can't. Do you see what I'm saying?
Sure. But if they don't,
then I'll have another boundary.
then
Like
then people get scared of that. But that means we might not end up together.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
healthy boundaries destroy toxic relationships.
yeah. Healthy boundaries are an invitation into improved relationships.
Yes.
Right.
So if you want unconditional positive regard in your heart, which by the way, Tyler, feels so good.
Oh yeah. Just think about what it would be like to
man.
wake up today and have positive regard for your partner.
Oh, you just look at them, you're like, man, like they are good.
They are a miracle.
They are awesome. They are a child of God, and I love them. Even though they're freaking human and they suck in some of the things they do, but like I see the goodness in them. Like I feel that. Not just see it, I feel that toward them. And you know what happens if both partners are practicing that unconditional positive regard? What happens in the relationship, Tyler?
Deeper levels of intimacy, greater levels of peace,
Safety,
yeah,
connection.
yeah,
All right, I got one. You ready?
yeah.
What if in my relationship I could get to a place where I never got offended?
What would that take?
I didn't take anything personal.
That it was impossible to take something personal.
Right.
Yeah. What does it take to get there?
Well, my partner would have to, be nice and perfect and all those things, and then I wouldn't. But because they suck, I take things personal.
Yeah.
I'm saying that tongue in cheek.
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. So what's the opposite of that then, or what's the antidote to that then? Like, how do I, okay, Brannon, I can hear people listening right now, if they're still listening, if they haven't already tuned you out after saying that, they're saying, okay, I get it. Like you're saying that I shouldn't take offense to what my partner does, but my partner does do some offensive things sometimes. How do I not take that personally?
There's a difference between, there's a difference between these two things. I can feel emotion and have some frustration or anger because of something that a partner does. That's normal. In fact, that's healthy. That those emotions are alerting you that this isn't working for me, right? Taking offense is making it personal. Taking offense is making it about you. It's playing the victim. It's making it about your self-worth, that they're out to get you. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about taking offense. And so really the answer to this is to examine how codependent am I? How is my healthy attachment? Like in what ways am I consuming them for my okayness? And if I'm not consuming them, if I have a relationship with other things that give me my worth, then I don't need to rely upon them for that. Therefore, whatever they do doesn't define me.
Yeah, I think another way of saying that, Brannon, I'm probably going to be repeating what you just said a little bit, is we as human beings tend to have our default setting be that we are the center of the universe. And so anything that goes on, especially what our partner does, has to do with us.
What a setup.
What
a setup.
That is a setup. Like that's a setup for misery and suffering. But what if, and this is a stretch, but what if my partner came to me and said, "You're an idiot."
Okay.
And it wasn't about me.
It wouldn't be about you.
But they said I was. It is about me.
Right. One of my favorite parts of the Four Agreements, he's talking about not taking anything personal. And I can't remember how he says it, but he says, if someone punches you in the face, that's not about you.
That's right.
Your face hurts, though.
But what happened wasn't fair, right?
Right?
But it's not about you.
No, that it's not about it is not about your self-worth, who you are, any of that. That is on them. That their feelings about you is this is going to sound kind of weird and crazy, but your partner's feelings about you really is none of your business. And so what I mean by that is, like, you don't have to get them to think or feel or whatever, anything. They can feel those things. But it doesn't define you. It doesn't, they don't hold those cards. Do you see what I'm saying, Tyler?
That's right, exactly. And so part of the antidote to this one, because we all are kind of defaulted into this a lot of the time, is to practice mindfulness and become aware that what's going on around us is that we are part of a much bigger thing than just ourselves, and we are not the center of the universe. Number two, we can learn to practice surrendering our partner's feelings and their opinions and their criticisms back to them. So when my wife comes in and says, "You're an idiot,"
Hopefully she's not saying that.
She doesn't. She doesn't say that. I'm just using that as an example, right? Like, because like that pretty much blatantly seems personal, right? But what if I was able to go, man, something inside of her is really churning that led her to say those things. Like, she's really whatever, frustrated, anxious, angry, whatever. Like, man, like that's what just came out of her is more about her than it is about me.
Right. And you still might say, right. hey, you calling me an idiot doesn't work for me. So there's the boundary, right? Yep. But I want to hear what's going on. Like, how are you feeling?
That's right.
Like, tell me what's happening here. So do you see how you're disconnecting in a way and handing it back to them?
Yeah. You're disconnecting the personal nature of it and giving it back to them. And in order to do that, the last part of this that's really, really important is, I'm not going to be capable of doing this unless I'm cultivating my own shame resiliency.
Yes.
My own deeper work really, really matters here, because if I don't do my deeper work, everything will feel personal.
Right.
Because I'll be so afraid of being found out that I'm not good enough and that I've got my own wounds and my own traumas and things. So I have to be working on myself to grow into this complete, full acceptance of myself as I am, so that my full acceptance of self will meet whatever that criticism is and not take it personally.
You know, I was talking to somebody, and we were hanging out with Rex, and Rex is our little brother, and they were saying something like, I don't get it. Like, he can walk in a room and he can like say whatever, and people are just like laughing and like thinking he's great and whatever. This person's like, I can walk in the room and say the exact same thing, and it gets awkward and uncomfortable, and like nobody wants to hear that from me. So why can he do it and I can't, right? And do you know the reason why?
I'm guessing it's the energy with which they approach it.
Yeah, Rex doesn't take that. Like, Rex is disconnected from their judgment as his okayness. Yeah. And because of that, there's this like comfortability in the connection. And you know, Rex, he can connect to people, right? Like really well.
Yeah.
And so like, there's this comfortability in that, because there's not this energetic connection of I'm okay, you know, if as long as you connect to me and be okay. Right. So it's paradoxical, Tyler, and in that, like, the things that we're talking about disconnecting so that you can create healthy relationship.
That's right.
And when we say disconnect, there's another step to it. You disconnect, you focus within on yourself. You focus on that relationship with God. You focus on having the strength, having the confidence, trusting yourself, shame resiliency, trauma work. You do those things, and then you become a human being that can create love because you're creating love within yourself, right?
Which leads to connection.
Which that leads to healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that work, if you just focus on all these other things we've been talking about, you're not gonna get the results that you're looking for. And there's good news and bad news to this. The good news is that it's all within you, that you have the control to actually do this. That's really, really good news. Isn't it, Tyler?
Yeah, even though sometimes it doesn't sound like it, because it feels like maybe we're going to be moving to places that we didn't want to be going in the first place in our relationships. But we have the power then to move towards a place of clarity in relationships. And that's the last question. I know we're out of time today, but what if you could have peace and clarity about the nature of your relationship and its ability to grow?
No matter what.
No matter what. What if your relationship was always something that was offering growth?
No, that relationship might be leading toward a different type of relationship. You might end up going from married to divorced. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're boundaried and honest and authentic, and you can still have this positive regard and all these things toward them, and realize that this relationship is not what's best for you.
Yeah.
Right? And when we talk about peace and clarity, it doesn't mean that it fits within one certain box, right? But Tyler, how many people get divorced and they're still letting the relationship and their partner run their life?
Yeah. And
right?
you're exactly right. And the pathway into that is a continual upgrading of your own life and your own self-acceptance.
Yes.
And
yes.
then the relationship actually becomes an opportunity for both partners to continually be growing. And if you want to grow into the same values, then you'll end up growing into deeper connection, deeper intimacy, a healed relationship, something that redefines itself 1,000 times over. And if you end up realizing that you're moving in different directions and pursuing different values, you will get clarity. And in that process, you will learn a lot about yourself.
Yes.
So
yes. And it's awesome. So, Tyler, there's a reason why we've shifted into really focusing on things like getting conscious of who you are, like consciousness, shame resiliency, deep trauma work, healthy attachment. We've created a full program that walks people through doing their own individual work so that they can create love in their life.
That's right.
With other people. And it's amazing. It's focusing on the right thing, and it's not easy work. I mean, it can be really hard.
It's the work of a lifetime. It's beautiful work.
But it's awesome. And it helps an individual go from being full of fear to stepping into their power as a human and as a partner. And it's amazing.
It's geared towards living a life of love, joy, peace, power, and freedom, rather than the things that most of us fuel ourselves off of, like fear and shame,
resentment,
doubt.
Yeah. Yep. Tyler, this is good discussion.
Yeah.
If you want to be this type of partner, go over to reclaimyourheart.org. Check out our program there.
The Healing Journey.
The Healing Journey. And we'd love to have you in there. And we got a ton of support, tons of work to do, tons of tools, and an awesome community over there.
Yeah, we love having you guys be a part of our show, and we hope that what we offer here is valuable to you. I'm glad to have you with us, and until next time, keep on keeping on.